This is the second part of our video on Medicaid with attorney Bobbi Meloro. I'm Mitchell, your heels on the ground in the Miami-Fort Lauderdale area. On this channel, we talk about everything probate, guardianship, senior relocation, and today we're really digging into Medicaid. So thank you for hanging in there with me so that we could continue the conversation. So much to cover. And what we really wanted to talk about was the actual process or the steps and the differentiation between going through the steps to qualify for a skilled nursing home as opposed to an adult living facility or at-home care.
Okay, yes, happy to do that. So there are two different Medicaid long-term care programs. One is for people who need a little bit more care, which is the skilled nursing or nursing home setting. That's more like 24/7 care, like a hospital. And then there's another program for people who either can still live in their own home with some part-time assistance within home health aid, or in an assisted living community where they still have their own apartment and their own space, but it's fully staffed and they can get help with their activities of daily living. So in the way that people typically come into the Medicaid program in a nursing home is after a hospitalization, right? Somebody's had a serious health issue, they've been hospitalized, maybe they need a little rehabilitation after being in a hospital, and then they realize they really need a lot of care and can't go back home, or assisted living is not appropriate. Then we need to, usually from there, they're discharged to a skilled nursing facility. The average cost of skilled nursing facilities in South Florida is upwards of $9,000 a month. It's extremely expensive. There are three ways to pay for this. You either cut a check, you're either extremely wealthy and have several $100,000 saved and cut a check every month, or maybe you were wise enough to purchase long-term care insurance when you were young and healthy and still able to do so. Many people don't, because even that's costly. Or you get into the Medicaid long-term care benefits, because that helps significantly. So in those cases, somebody would be admitted to a skilled nursing facility, and then if they can't afford it privately, they would want to apply for the Medicaid long-term care program. So when those families come to see me, I say, okay, let's take a look at your income and your assets. Let's see if you qualify. And if you don't, these are your options to qualify. We can shelter income or assets as needed, and we can go through the steps of that too. And then we get them financially qualified, and we submit the application on their behalf. And the way that works is, if it's in the same calendar month of admission, right now we're at the end of March, so if we apply by tomorrow is the last business day of March, then the entire month of March would be covered. It's retro back to the first of the month. That's unique to the nursing home program. That doesn't happen in the other program.
Which is why it's really important to have these conversations early and try not to wait until we have that medical emergency that makes it, happen today.
Right.
But we know that that is often the case in health.
Right, because it does take time to shelter income and assets. We have to, meet with the family. We have to prepare documents. Sometimes we have to open new bank accounts, so it can take some time. So if you come in, toward the end of the month, it's very hard to get qualified for that same month. So start sooner rather than later, for sure.
And then the other option, the having someone come into the home to care for the family, or the adult living facility. How does that work? How many hours in someone's home can they get somebody? Is that a CNA? What does that look like?
So the second program is for people, it's called the community-based program. It's for people that still live out in the community, whether it be in their own home or in an assisted living community. And the application process is quite a bit different, because this covers most people that want long-term care. Too many people in South Florida. We have a lot of seniors here, so there's a wait list for these benefits. And that's the biggest hurdle that people face, because the wait list process is difficult. You have to go through a screening that you get ranked in order of priority. It's not first come, first serve. It's who needs it the most. So you have to go through that screen. We help you with that. We help you with the screening process. Try to present your case in the best light possible for you so that you don't have to wait too long on that wait list. You can't even apply for Medicaid until you're called off that wait list. So that could be, that could really put a damper on your plans, because if you come in and you have to move into an assisted living tomorrow and you're now going to have to wait a few months for this wait list process to pan out, it's very expensive.
So you're private paying during the time that you're waiting to get, yeah.
That's right, and it's not retro like it is in the nursing home setting. So if you, it may take 3 months to get all that done, and the benefits begin the first day of the following month after approval. There's no retroactivity, so there's no way to recoup that money that you've had to private pay.
And when do you see that people contact you the most? Is it typically at time of emergency, or do you have people, family members that are contacting you, being more proactive about it?
I wish I had more people being proactive about it. It's always in the case of an emergency or a crisis or a significant change in health. And really, not to be too hard on people, because people don't know. People don't know what they don't know, until they're in this situation. That's why we're doing this program, to raise education and awareness so that you're aware that these programs exist and it's something that you can plan ahead for, and so that you're not caught off guard in a crisis situation.
That's exactly why we're doing this. It's so interesting to me. My father and his wife lived in a 55+ community in Kings Point for over a decade, and they never had any education on this. And you would think this is an elderly population, aging in place, but things could change, and never even heard of it. So it is a wonderful government program. We want to get the word out about it and help people to get the best quality of life that they can, and to preserve their assets if that's possible. Yeah. Speaking of assets, Bobbi, how does that work?
So we will sit down with the family. We'll look at if somebody's over income. Just for an example, we can set up something called a qualified income trust to shelter the overage. This involves us creating a trust document, getting the appropriate signatures. The family then brings that document to the bank, opens up a special bank account in the name of the qualified income trust, and then we have to deposit money into it every month, whatever their over income. The income cap changes each year. They get a little cost of living adjustment. For 2024, the income cap is $2,829 a month. If somebody makes more than that, and we're looking at all sources of income, Social Security, IRAs, pensions, things like that. If you're over $2,829 a month, you can still qualify. We just have to set up that qualified income trust.
And is that $2,829 per person or per married couple?
Per person.
Okay.
And then we look at assets, and that's countable assets, things that count. A homestead does not count as long as it's under the cap for that year. Right now it's around $700,000. One vehicle does not count, and for things that do count, like bank accounts or investment accounts or stocks, then you have a few different options for those things as well. Just one example is something called a personal services contract, which allows the senior to compensate their children who are providing care to them every month, who are bringing them to doctor's appointments, paying their bills, checking in on them, arranging health care, shopping for them, things like that. It allows them to compensate them. It's under a written contract that we prepare. Everybody signs, and then it's not a gift. We talked a little bit about gifting in a different episode, but that now it's compensation. It's not a gift because you've got a written contract between the parties. So that's a great strategy. And then another strategy is something called a pooled special needs trust, where you deposit any asset overage you have into a special account called a pooled special needs trust account. It's managed by a third-party trustee, and it still belongs to the senior and can be used for anything that senior might need, but you now have a third party involved, which is a trustee that pays bills for the senior.
So you can see why I recommend going to a professional like Bobbi, because all, special needs trusts, over income, personal service contracts. This is, I think of myself as a fairly intelligent person, but it's way over my pay grade. And I know that we've worked together, I've had the opportunity to work with Bobbi personally, and could not have done it without her. So when someone gets, you've gone through all of these processes and finally here we are and the person is approved, is it done or is there a reapproval process?
Sure. So once somebody is approved, then there's a renewal process. They don't have to reapply every year, but once every year after the first year and then once a year thereafter, they go through a renewal where the Medicaid office just wants to be sure their income and their assets are still within the Medicaid parameters. So they will send you a renewal. We help with that if families need it. It's pretty straightforward. What's your income? What's your assets? Do you still qualify? And that has to be submitted, though. Deadlines are important with Medicaid. You don't want to miss any deadlines, so you do want to get that completed and back to them promptly. So yes, there's an annual renewal involved as well.
Yeah, and don't get fancy. Don't look at gifting money or thinking that after the Medicaid is approved, you can go on and do whatever you want. You really need to stay in compliance to keep this incredible benefit. And you know what we haven't talked about is how much is that benefit? What amount are people eligible? Up to what amount are people eligible for towards at-home care or care in an adult living facility or skilled nursing facility?
Okay, so it varies. So I'll start with home care. The way the home care program works is the Medicaid office will assess the senior and decide how many hours of care they think are needed per week. Just as an example, maybe it's 20 hours a week. At that point, they will put you in touch with an agency that accepts Medicaid. You can work out a schedule with that agency that fits your senior best. And they would send a home health aide to the home for 20 hours a week free of charge. So that can be super helpful. Home health aides cost $25 an hour right now, so that's upwards of $1,600 a month savings. And that's how it works at home. In an assisted living community, the way it works is Medicaid pays a stipend directly to the assisted living community. The amount varies a little bit depending on the community and the Medicaid program and their contracted rate. It averages about $1,800 to $1,900 per month. Per person. So that then just comes off the bill. So that can be a significant savings for people. That can make the difference from being able to afford the assisted living community with your Social Security and not being able to afford it. And then the way it works in a nursing home is actually converse. They will look at the senior's income. They will calculate something called a patient responsibility amount, which is like a copay. And they will say, okay, this person makes, as an example, $2,000 a month. That we're going to base their monthly rate that they owe the nursing home on their income. This nursing home costs $9,000 a month. Now you're reduced to your $2,000 a month income. So you're saving $7,000 a month in that example. And they let you keep a little bit of it's called a personal needs allowance. Right now it changes occasionally. Right now it's $160 a month. They let you keep that, and then the rest of your income goes to pay the nursing home, and Medicaid pays the rest. So that's how it works in that setting.
Yeah, so you can see there are a lot of powerful examples about how Medicaid can really make or break people's ability to live their lives at the highest level possible.
Absolutely. It's a very valuable benefit.
Well, thank you so much, Bobbi. And like I said, I look forward to continuing the conversation. I think there's a lot more that we could get into here, but we'll have to save that for another day. If you liked the interview and you liked the conversation, I love to hear feedback from you. So please write, comment, remark below. Let me know if you have questions. Please feel free, contact Bobbi directly. Her information is going to be here. And like and subscribe, it really helps our channel.